topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We are your hosts, Melanie Young and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We travel the world to introduce you to the people we meet and the places we visit, the wines we sip, the foods we eat, to introduce you to people that we think you should discover when you step out into the world and travel. We are insatiably curious and we want you to be as well. Today, we're broadcasting from our adopted home in New Orleans, which we love truly, and we try to dedicate a certain percentage of our shows to spotlighting the best of New Orleans. And boy, today do we have one of them.
Oh, it's a good one.
If you look behind us, you'll see the sign, Brigtsen's Restaurant. It is celebrating 40 years this year. It is legendary. And why is that? Well, let's start with beloved New Orleans chef Frank Brigtsen, who has really become one of the esteemed mentors to many. He is widely recognized for revitalizing Creole Acadian cooking. And he and his wife, Marna, run this adorable jewel box Victorian cottage. It feels like you're dining in someone's home. We recently had dinner there, and it seemed like the servers knew the guests knew the servers. It was like a dinner party. 40 years is a long time, opening in 1986. We're going to talk about that wonderful road. Of course, in New Orleans, 40 years is still young.
Yeah, what were you doing in 40 years ago? In 1986,
I was living in, I was starting out in New York. I'd moved to New York. I was still working for a PR agency and doing restaurant PR. So anyway, we're going to introduce you to this amazing man who we've known for years. He's won numerous awards, including a James Beard Award for Best Chef Southeast. He's been honored by the Louisiana Restaurant Association, Nichols Institute, Nichols College, where he has taught. He has gone from being an esteemed protégé, which we'll talk about, to a respected mentor. And a lot of the show is going to talk about that. Because he's been a guest on our show, but we're going to share his story and then, of course, get you excited about coming to New Orleans and visiting Brigtsen's and everything here this great city has to offer. So, Frank Brigtsen, welcome to the Connected Table.
Thank you, Melanie and David. It's such a delight to be with you.
Congratulations. 40 years is a big deal these days.
40 years. Wow.
And that's just at your restaurant.
At your restaurant.
Yeah, that's true.
You're a youngster compared to Antoine's, which is over 100. But anyway, I remember when we first came down here to start resettling, because we've known you for years and have been to Brigtsen's many times. It was tough. It was during COVID. You were struggling and doing takeout, and it was crazy times. And then you got COVID, and you weathered through it. And when we had dinner at Brigtsen's last week, it was hopping. I mean, we secured the 530 res. It's busy. So, success is good for you. For our listeners and viewers around the world who may not know your story, take us back to who little Frank Brigtsen is. And of course, your amazing first mentor, which is your mother, Ernie.
Yeah, that's true. It's growing up in New Orleans, you grow up in this context of tremendous cultural and food heritage. And I didn't really understand that until I started traveling. My first trip overseas to London was great, and I came back and everything looks and tastes different. And I think for me, my story was rather common in my generation anyway. We didn't know about culinary schools. The restaurant industry, almost everybody had a little touch of it. When I started in college in the sandwich shop, I was majoring in fine arts. And then I started working in a little pasta restaurant. And after 5 years of fine art school, which I loved, I realized I couldn't make a living with that. But I had a clear decision one day that I really liked being in the kitchen. So when I moved back to New Orleans, I got a job as a prep cook. And one fateful day, I answered a help wanted ad for Commander's Palace. And this was 1977. And now hiring Creole chefs or people willing to learn Creole cuisine. I'm like, me? So I went down for an interview, which turned into 3 interviews. And it was with Chef Paul Prudhomme, you know. And this was not just a formative time for me, Melanie. It was a formative time for American cuisine because in the 70s even, those 2 words were never really put together, you know. And going through, you know, the late 70s, early 80s with Chef Paul at K. Paul's Louisiana Kitchen, he and Kay, it was a formative time for American regional cooking. And magazine every month, Food and Wine, they had a different, you know, Southwest, Cajun, this and that. And so we started to look inward and explore ourselves and what we offer as Americans to the food world. And of course, Paul Prudhomme had such an impact on the world, and I was along for the ride, and it was wild. And
I think we have a photo of you and Paul Prudhomme, a black and white, that you were going to show. It's hanging on the wall at Brigtsen's because he was such an important
yes.
Mentor to you. You know, you went on to work with him at his restaurant in the French Quarter, K. Paul's.
And just so everybody's aware, the 3rd person in the picture is Marna, your wife.
Yes, Marna, which we have another picture of, which we'll show shortly. Talk to us about many people now, generation. There's you and Marna now. You've been business partners and partners in life and partners in business for how many years?
We've been married 41, and the restaurant is 40.
Wow, she really stepped into the pot, the simmering pot when she married you. A little aside before we talk about Palm, one of the charming things about Brigtsen's, you're proud to be a little old school. You don't do online reservations platforms like Resi and Open Table. You do the phone, and most of the time it's Marna answering it.
Right? Yeah, it's I didn't just marry Marna. The truth is I married 3 sisters, Marna, Sandy, and Rhonda. And Sandy was the very first waitress at K. Paul's Louisiana Kitchen. Mm-hmm. And when I came on board 8 months into it as first night chef, we opened for dinner. That's how I met Sandy. And that's how it all started. And then Rhonda came to work for us, and then Marna came to visit, fell in love. And so the 4 of us have been together for 40 years and still working. The girls are often answering the phone or greeting you at the front door. And we like it that way. We've looked at online reservations, and I think, you know, as we get older, I think that's going to come into play. We'll probably take it on at some point. But right now, we like that personal touch.
Well, it's refreshing to see because, you know, everybody makes app online reservations and whatnot these days. And it's nice to actually kind of takes me back to my first days in the restaurant business, which was also in the 1980s, where I'd go in a couple hours early. So somebody always had to man the phone to take reservations. Mm-hmm. So there was always that middle of the afternoon shift every once in a while where you had to just sit there and wait for the phone to ring and make sure you got the reservation in the book.
It's also nice because the person actually knows you're coming in and they'll welcome you. It was like, Melanie, David, welcome, versus, are you on the list?
Yes.
Do you have a reservation?
Yeah.
That's going to be the name of my memoir.
You know, to put it kind of bluntly, the sale is made on the phone.
Yeah.
Right? So we like to make friends and get to know you a little bit. Maybe you have some special requests or anything like that. But we do want to greet you when you come in. Oh, yeah, I talked to you today. And develop these friendships. And that's part of what's kept us going for 40 years. We have so many regular guests. There's one family that eats with us, the couple eats with us every Friday night at 7:30 for 40 years. So
okay, there was a couple there when we were there 5:30 that seemed like they owned the place too. I thought they were the ones with there's a plaque above the table.
Yes.
And everybody was greeting them more, and everybody seemed to know everybody. I don't know if it was that couple or another, because they had a.
Yeah.
But let's just say it's like being at a dinner party in somebody's home.
That's exactly right. And for that family, we have met 5 generations of that family.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And in addition to that, we have a healthy influx of visitors, people coming to New Orleans, many of them coming with food on their mind, because that's New Orleans. And that's what makes me so grateful that I get to be a part of that. That's why I can't live anywhere else, because I am inbred in New Orleans. And to wear a white coat, a chef's coat in New Orleans is, I carry, 200 years of Creole tradition with me. I'm just a small spoke on that wheel, but it's an evolution, and it keeps going. And that evolution, I think, has been part of my focus for many years.
You could be the keeper of the Creole flame.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your mentor, and you were the protege, before we go into the today at Brigtsen's. Paul, that was my era when I was had launched M Young Communications, and that whole American culinary revolution around the United States was an important part of my business and my career and my life, because I was working with Bon Appetit Magazine, the James Beard Foundation, and I got to know everybody, including Paul and Kay. For the new generation of people out there and our European friends, who are many who follow this show, tell us who Paul Prudhomme was and why he was significant in American cooking and in the South, and what he taught you.
Well, Paul's first impact was at Commander's Palace. And I had never heard of him, but I remember the front page of our newspaper said, Commander's Palace hires a Cajun chef, Paul Prudhomme. Miss Ella Brennan and Mr. Dick, they really went out on a limb. They broke the mold, because a restaurant like that, a premier restaurant in the country, always had a European chef, which is great. But they decided to take a chance with this guy from Cajun country. And Paul's first things that he did was trying to get things local. And the best example of that is we were serving trout amandine, classic Creole dish, delicious. And Paul said, well, we don't grow almonds here in Louisiana, but we grow a lot of pecans. So we changed it to pecans. That simple, fundamental mode of thinking informed everything that he did. And I remember one night at Commander's, we got the first shipment that we had ever seen of peeled crawfish tails. God, what a luxury. It's like a pound of crab meat. Somebody peeled all those crawfish. We had never seen it before. And Chef put on a very simple saute with butter, garlic, green onion, seasonings, not much else. And it flew out of the window because it was such a luxurious way to eat crawfish.
Yeah.
And so bit by bit, things like that. And at the same time, when at Cape Paul's, he really, really went what became known as farm to table. On the weekends, he was hop in his pickup truck, go back home to Appaloosas, and just start driving around, stopping at farms. Oh, I see you growing this. Can I get some of that? And that evolved into a weekly delivery service. His nephew, Eddie, would come in with a truckload of vegetables, whole hogs, pigs, suckling pigs, guinea hens, just all kinds of things. And that's what we worked with, And at the same time, Alice Waters doing similar things in Berkeley. Wolfgang's doing similar things in Los Angeles. Larry Forgione at an American place in Manhattan. Brilliant, brilliant man. I got to know all these people. Chef was buddies with them. And that time, Melanie, that time was just magical. I mean,
I think it was the best part of America for so many reasons. It was magic, really up until 2001, and then there was like this weird period. Here's it. So you worked with Paul as his executive chef, right? At K. Paul's. Sadly, the restaurant, he passed in 2015. And he had poor health. I mean, he had poor health for a very long time. He gave you one of the best gifts he ever gave you was the gentle push out the door.
Yes.
To open your restaurant. Talk to us about that, because it's very symbolic.
It's really interesting the way it all happened. I was in the kitchen at K. Paul's, and we were about to open, and Chef and Kay called me out to Chef's table. He sat at the rear table in the dining room. That was his office. And he looked at me dead in his face and he said, "Frank, we think you're ready to go out on your own." Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, Chef. You know? So this, it just happened in a matter of 6 months. Kay and Paul let me the cash money out of their own pocket. They set me up with a real estate agent. We went looking around. After a couple of months, I found a place on Dante Street. And when I opened that door, I had like 1 foot in, and I knew it was that's me. It felt like New Orleans. It was a manageable size for me, size I was used to. And Chef negotiated the lease for me. Set me up with everything I needed: an attorney, a CPA, a little capital for spending money, and importantly, allowed me to take a cook from K. Paul's who became my sous chef, Steve Van Gelder, who was from New York. And he was a workhorse, and that's exactly what I needed as my sous chef. And even more importantly, Kay allowed me to take Sandy and Rhonda along for the ride. Sandy was going to stay. Rhonda was coming. And Sandy said, "My family's opening a restaurant without me. I have to be there." And Kay was gracious enough, because Rhonda and Sandy meant so much to Kay. But that's kind of support they gave me. And then we signed the lease. Well, just before we signed the lease, Chef's handed me my paycheck. And he said, "Frank, you better get open soon. This is your last check." So we signed the lease and we opened 5 days later. Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. But you needed to, because you had to start making money.
Yeah.
What was it? Was there a symbolic? He gave you a pan or something. I remember when I interviewed you for. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that was the day before we opened, and Chef, among the many things he did for me, he started helping me get promoted. He set up. I had assisted him with cooking segments on the local TV channels, and he encouraged them, I know, behind the scenes to have me on a lot. And those photos with the skillet were publicity photos the day before we opened, and it was the symbolic passing of the skillet.
I love that.
Eat to you, and oh gosh.
That gets me a little emotional just thinking about it. So flash forward, you opened the restaurant in 1986, and what was it like for you then? And what have you done differently in over 40 years? How has the menu evolved? I mean, so much of it is seasonal and fresh and local.
Yes.
How have you, kept it fresh, but also kept it the same for the people who love it? How do you do that and weather the storms? I mean, you went through a lot since then. You went through Katrina, you went through COVID.
Well, in the early months of Brigtsen's, I started out doing things the way we did at K. Paul's. At K. Paul's would write the dinner menu at 1 p.m, depending on what we had. And I kind of did that, but I hand wrote the menu myself every day. And I wanted the menu to change. It was changing every day. with different things. And about 2-3 months in, I went out to visit a table, a friend, and he said, "Frank, where's that duck dish I had last week? I brought my friends in to have it, and you don't have it."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, well, I change the menu every day."
Mm.
Yeah. And right then I realized a very important lesson for chefs. I'm not cooking for me. I'm cooking for my guests. And the whole idea of a restaurant is to make them happy.
Mhm.
So I realized there's really two families of menu items. One is I call the cravers, like the duck at Brigtsen's or the seafood platter at Brigtsen's. Those people know what they're getting before they get out of their car. And I better have it.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, there's, the people, what's new? What you got? What's on special today? They want to try something different every time.
Mhm.
So you have to have that balance in your menu making. And it keeps it fresh, not only for the guests, but for the chefs. So as you said, our menu evolves through the year, seasonally. For instance, strawberry season, crawfish season, shrimp season, blueberry season, peach season, all these things through the year. There's always something wonderful in season here. And it also changes when we just feel like trying something new, or changing the sauce on the veal dish, whatever it might be.
That's what David had, the veal.
Oh,
Curious, why don't you
That's
share
delicious dish.
some of your, so we're going to show a little tasty video at the end of this new and apparently first cookbook, but all these recipes, a lot of these dishes are going to be it's in a new cookbook that you've written, The Color of Flavor. We're going to show a video at the end so we don't break up the conversation, but it's out with Blue Runner Foods. Let's talk about the book, and also let's talk about, there's the cover right there, some of your most popular dishes that people must have. What do you say is the Brigtsen signature dishes?
Well, that has to start with our butternut shrimp bisque.
Oh, it's good. I had it.
The go-to,
Melanie had that last week. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Mhm.
And it's the kind of dish people can make at home, and they just love it. And like when people come in, I might run into somebody at the front door and,
Mhm.
"Jeff, what should I get?" I said, "Is this your first time here?" "Yeah." "Your first taste should be butternut shrimp bisque, and then you'll
Oh.
understand Brigtsen's." The butternut shrimp bisque, the pecan pie,
Oh, yeah.
those are the two that are most popular in conversation.
Mhm.
And I think our barbecue shrimp remoulade. Did you know I'm allergic to shrimp?
No. Oh, you're kidding. That is so funny.
know.
Not funny, not funny.
No,
We,
but
we
it
had
happened
it.
when I was 40, but it's okay. But
Oh,
I
wow.
love cooking with them and using them. It's so versatile.
Mhm.
Our black and tuna steak with smoked corn sauce. That's an original that's been on the menu 39 years.
I've had that dish.
Our bread pudding changes with the seasons. We're in peach season now, so soon we'll have peach bread pudding with hot damn sauce,
Mm.
which is, peaches flambéed with hot damn cinnamon schnapps, and then pureed with coconut milk into a sauce.
Yum.
So we try and keep it fresh and fun. And the way I view myself after 40 years is that, and really all this time, is to have one foot in history and one foot going forward. Creole cuisine, the wonderful thing about it is it's not 3 or 4 or 5 dishes. It's a whole way of doing things based on all the wonderful ingredients we have here, but also the diversity of cultures that we have in New Orleans, all the immigrants that have influenced this city over the last 300 plus years. And so from Africa to India to Italian to Spanish, my great-grandfather came from Bergen, Norway. But all these cultures have shaped the way we eat. And, why do people immigrate? most people don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to move across the world. It's often calamities, disasters, wars, circumstances that cause, mass migrations. And in our lifetime, the Vietnam War, post-war, we welcomed a lot of immigrants from Vietnam here, and we have a vibrant Vietnamese community.
Right.
It's lovely. And Katrina really changed our demographics in New Orleans. 400,000 of us left and never came back.
It's so true and sad at the same time.
Yeah, and it created this vacuum. Oxnard Hospital Healthcare Group started recruiting people from all over the world. We'll pay your student loans if you come work in New Orleans.
That's true, yeah.
Largely responsible for filling this vacuum. So we have a lot of different cultures and palates that continue to evolve Creole cuisine, which is a fusion cuisine of the greatest magnitude.
Well, I think this is a good time to explain for those who don't understand the difference between Creole and Cajun. You pretty much explained Creole is the global melting pot that shapes New Orleans and continues to, as you get new waves of people coming in. So in comparison, how do you define the Cajun cuisine of the Paul Prudhommes and your teachings from him?
Cajun, the word comes from Acadian, and it's French. These are French Catholics that emigrated to mostly Southwest Louisiana from Nova Scotia, Acadia. And that was largely because Canada switched allegiance from the French crown to the English crown. So that changed things religiously. And I think, I don't know, but these were, coastal and inland Acadians, French people. And so they came down here and continued their way of life. Coastal, fishing, hunting, and then in the prairies and farming, hogs especially, guinea hens, fowl. And their cuisine is based on French cuisine, sort of a, not fancy French cuisine, but the kind of cuisine that is based on being resourceful, using what you have, and trying to feed your family with very little money.
Yeah, I mean, it was what they would call in Italy cucina povera.
Yes,
it was food of the country and the poor, and it was nose to tail and hunting and fishing. And now that we live here, we see this very much and see the differences and feel them and sense them. But it is confusing to people who are not from here. So, Frank, education, you noted that you did not attend culinary school. You learned on the job, which so many wonderful chefs have. However, you're very committed to education. And you've been a teacher for, probably over 30 years now, over 25 or 30 years. And you said, if you want to make the world a better place, it starts with education.
Absolutely.
You teach, culinary arts at New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts NOGA, which I happen to love that school. I'd love to get involved in some way professionally. The John Folse Culinary Institute and the New Orleans Cooking Experience. You also taught at Nichols Institute, Nichols College, which honored you. What is it? How, do you have a special way of teaching that you feel is important in your approach to helping young people or career changers, but most of them are young, enter this very challenging profession, because we know it's harder and harder now?
Yeah, it's interesting, Melanie, because I taught in 3 different spheres. My first teaching job started in the 90s was the New Orleans Cooking Experience, a brilliant concept created by Judy Jurisic after she had spent time in Florence, Italy, and went to cooking classes, half day, full day, learning to do everything, go in the shop for it, cook it. And she said, why doesn't New Orleans have something like this? So the concept of that project was, and I did it every Thursday night for 15 years, is in an old uptown home, we had an island, kitchen island that sat 10 people. And I would demonstrate the entire menu in front of them and would banter back and forth. And we had a ball. And then they would get up and go to the dining room and enjoy the meal. And I would come out and visit with them and stuff. And it was so much fun. And then my second teaching job was at the John Fo's Culinary Institute at Nichols. And this came after Katrina, when there was so much disruption of our life. And many New Orleans, I think, felt like I did, that the fragility of our culture. You know, restaurants were closing, new ones were opening, which was great, but, you know, they're different. They're not Creole as I would define it, but, you know, they're welcome to the family. So anyway, we felt that the cuisine and the icons and symbolic parts of our culture were fragile. So anyway, I called up there, my friend Randy Sheremy, and I said, Randy, do you have a spot for me to teach up there? And he said, oh, yeah, Frank, we need somebody to teach classic French, soups and sauces. I said, no, wait. What I want to do is teach what I know, what I learned from Paul, to protect and preserve Creole and Cajun culture. Not just recipes, but the culture and the context and what it all means. And he said, okay. So within a few months, they created a class just for me on Tuesday nights called Contemporary Creole Acadian Cuisine. And I taught that for 17 years. And this is the university level culinary school, 16 students in a class. And I would come in with a packet of recipes, my recipes, and I would lecture for 30 minutes, explaining the importance or the evolution of what this means, how it came to be, and then hand them out and break into teams, execute the recipes, and then would taste and evaluate. And this is in Thibodeau, so it's about an hour's drive from my home. And so on the way home, I would just digest and process everything that happened that night. And, you know, it was so gratifying, you know. And these students, majority, were going into the restaurant industry. That's why they were there. And then when NOCA, New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, which is a high school for the arts, they started a culinary arts program with lots of help from Chef Emerald to build our first kitchen. And I was very flattered and honored to be invited to be the first chef in residence. And for a while, I was teaching there every day with Chef Dana, who's still the chair of the department. And so I was doing 3 teaching jobs. And for a while, I had 2 restaurants. And I was running, man. But it was all so meaningful to me. And NOCA is the one I'm still involved with a little bit. As I've gotten older, I can't do as much. Arthritis, limited mobility, all that stuff. But I'm still involved with NOCA. We're going to have our book lunch party there when the cookbook arrives. And I'm going to teach in the fall semester 1 master class per month. Go in with my recipes, and I think it's probably going to be mostly lecture, and try and, you know, instill the importance and unique nature of the food we all grew up with, and what it means to the world, and to you. And NOCA is really interesting in arena because these are high school students, and I see them go from 13 years old to 18 years old. And those are the most transformative years of our lives.
Absolutely.
They are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but a lot of those students do not go in the restaurant industry, but they are still learning important lessons. Any education is valuable, but they're learning not just how to cook, but teamwork, organization, processing. They wash their own dishes. You know, they have to think and organize. And so they're training their minds to embrace and tackle a project and be successful at it and feel what that feels like.
We attended we were volunteers at the NOCA Gala. We do a lot of volunteering, and it was so much fun to see the kids were handing out the food. They were cooking. They're very proud of the sense of it. And just for everybody, New Orleans has some amazing institutions. There's NOCA, which is the high school level, and then there's NOKI, the New Orleans Culinary Hospitality Institute, which is for people pursuing the profession more seriously. And then there's Cafe Reconcile, which provides this amazing training for underserved youths who learn the basics of skills. And it's learning skill training, teamwork, and discipline, and giving people hope that they can do something. Confidence, actually, which is really, really important. At Cafe Reconcile, we had Martha Wiggins on the show talking about that. So education is just the ultimate way to pay it forward. Yes. And you're also hosting New Orleans once again is hosting the prestigious Bocuse d'Or Americas. It's happening during happening because this will happen. It's an evergreen show, but it's happening probably during one of the busiest weeks in July 2026. There's Tales of the Cocktail. There's the Louisiana Restaurant Association Showcase, the Great American Sea Cook-Off, and the Bocuse d'Or all in one week, and you're on the host committee, and we got to get involved. That's a big deal for New Orleans. I mean, we all, and I'm sure you too, is happy to see a lot of spotlight coming back to New Orleans.
This was huge. This competition, which is the most elite and prestigious food competition in the world, they came to New Orleans. It's every 2 years. So they came to New Orleans 2 years ago. Right. The first time an American city has ever hosted this event. Mm-hmm. And so this is the Americas. So there's competing teams from Canada, United States, Mexico, all the countries in Central America, all the countries in South America come together and put their best work forward. And being on the host committee, Chef Emerald arranged for a lot of us to be there to assist. Oh, what a great experience. Not only seeing and admiring the chefs and their work, which was unbelievable, but the event coordinators. I became very close with the I call them mon chef de Protégé, a French team. And I can't wait to get back. I learned so much, met some lovely people. We're going to have an opening reception the night before. And for them to come back, they loved New Orleans. And moving it to this week, I think is really smart because it shines a bigger spotlight on the event. So the winners from this competition will then go to the finals in Lyon, France, home of Chef Bocuse. And so the Americas team winners, Asian team winners, African team winners will all meet, I think, in January for the big finals.
Ooh, Lyon sounds like a great place to spend. Of course, we have an early Mardi Gras this year, so we'll see. But it's all very exciting. It's all been good for New Orleans because we've had so many. We've had the Michelins here. We've had the America's 50 best restaurants. We've just had the Beard Award winners too. It's all good. It's all good because New Orleans, has had some kicks. It struggles particularly in the summer. So everybody come. I did New Orleans is a great time to come in the summer because there's so many deals. You've got culinary in August and restaurant week and wonderful happy hours and opportunity museum months. It's a great time. And of course, you've got a book that's coming out. I want to before we run out of time, we'll wrap the show up after this, but we're going to show a short teaser about the book. It's again the color, Frank Brigtsen's Color of Flavor. Let's see if we can just quickly. It's very short for people who are listening. Why don't we show this? I'll have our engineer Juan pop it up. what's nice about that, it's a beautiful, for those who
is.
didn't get to see it. I mean, it showed the book and some of the wonderful dishes and pictures of Frank and Marna and the opening day. And I can't believe this is your first book. I mean, you kind of did one with Paul. I kind of dig back, but this is your first.
I did a lot on the first book, Chef. Paul.
Yeah. But this is
I love the process, and the funnest part of this process was the photo shoots, which we did at the restaurant for 10 weeks.
So you did this in collaboration with Blue Runner Beans,
That's right.
which is a food company that supplies a number of different types of beans in the marketplace. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, thank you. Blue Runner Foods is something everybody has in their pantry. They specialize in canned red beans, cooked. But they have white beans, and then they started selling dry beans, and then they started selling bases like gumbo base, etouffee base, fricassee base, and they're wonderful. So when they came out with the dry beans and bases, Ricky Thomas, the owner of the company, approached me about developing some recipes for them. So I did, and we hit it off right away. And we did some YouTube demos that are still on YouTube. And, during these 40 years, people would come up to me and they would say, Frank, when are you going to write a cookbook? And frankly, it got to be a little annoying. I understand it. I appreciate it. And so my smart aleck answer was, when I stop cooking, I'll write. So anyway, things happen in life and beautiful things like, meeting Chef Paul Prudhomme, life-changing. And so December of 2024, my friend Ricky Thomas, who owns Blue Runner, came to eat at the restaurant by himself, just walked in, and he said, is Chef Frank here? Yeah, so I came out, and he stood up, and he looked me dead in the eye and said, Frank, you want to do a cookbook? And I said, yes. We shook hands, and it took off from there. And so Ricky and the others provided me everything else I needed besides the recipes, because that was my stumbling block. I had stopped and started a cookbook, and the business part of it, all the editing, it really stopped me. But Ricky's daughter, Lane Starr, became project manager. Brilliant. I said, Lane, I've been waiting 40 years for you. She handled everything, all the moving parts. And Ricky's also involved with a company called Brand Society, who does marketing, graphic design, etc. So Gage Burke became our art director. Lane Starr's project manager. We enlisted the services of a wonderful photographer, Rodney Caruso. So that's my team. And then my chef de cuisine, Chef Nick Cook, produced all the food for the cookbook, along with our pastry chef, James Pierce. So Chef Nick, myself, Gage, and Romney, we sat in the middle dining room at Brigtsen's twice a week, all day, and shot photos. Oh, it was joyful because I guess it's my art background. It was a collaboration. We all said, well, what if we do this? What's that little yellow thing right there? And it was so much fun. So they provided everything for me. And my good friend, Robert St. John, chef from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, we consulted with him several times. I've been talking to him about cookbook for years. He's written 20 cookbooks, self-published 17 of them. And so he was very valuable asset for us.
Well, I think that's great. I wish more companies like Blue Runner Foods would do that for authors, because writing a book, particularly a cookbook, is a very expensive, time-consuming, and somewhat stressful endeavor. Yes. And then the hardest part comes next, marketing it. But it could be tough, and many traditional publishers just leave you to do all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're lucky. You're very lucky.
Oh, I'm so lucky. And Ricky's financed it. We're going to sell kind of direct. We have not gotten a distributor yet. We'll do that in a few months, down the road a little bit, to get it get it out elsewhere. But right now we're doing it ourselves. And Blue Runner is handling online sales. I mean, how great is that for me? So you can order online at bluerunnerfoods.com.
Yeah.
And so we'll be selling at the restaurant. Ricky's involved with a local grocery chain called Rouse's.
Yeah.
You know, they sell beans.
Yeah.
And, so there'll be books that will be at Rouse's too.
Yeah, and you'll do book signings. I mean, you know,
Oh,
a book has there's a launch and then there's the maintenance, like a restaurant. You got the whole flurry of the launch, and then you got to get back, keep selling it.
That's
So
right.
you know, let's give a shout out to Nick. Nick Cook, your chef de cuisine. I know he's doing a party like it's 1986 menu for the 40th, which we love. That's always fun. I don't think the prices are going to be the same, but that's okay.
This may
I
be
wish.
this summer may be the only time you see fried catfish on the menu. Right?
The best catfish you've ever had.
Yeah,
you know, Nick was a student of mine. He was in my very first class at Nicholls State, and very good student. He's Cajun from Thibodeau, and we were out of touch for 16 years, and then we ran into each other. And now he's chef de cuisine at Brigtsen's restaurant.
Well, how long has he been there?
3 years.
3 years. That's great. You know, it seems like you've got servers who've been there forever. They seem to know everybody. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something unique about New Orleans, which I really want to underscore. Is there are not many. There's a few amazing restaurants that have been around a long time, and their servers have as well. It's considered an honor.
It's a career here.
It's a career and an honor, and that is unique to New Orleans, because in New York, where we used to live, the only way you did that is if you were in the union.
Yeah, I think Brigtsen's wait staff is like Hotel California. You never leave.
But you can't check out.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's great. Frank, it's been really great. I think we're going to try. We lost, for the people watching the show, we lost us. So we must have broke the camera, David. So we've been doing full screen with Frank. Let's try to see if we can get it back on. But it's been a great conversation.
Lovely.
You, because the last time you only got half a show. Now we're doing full shows. We're still seeing our way with video, but it's been great. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that Brigtsen's restaurant is open at 720. It's 723 Dante Street in a Riverbend neighborhood, which is uptown. Just the drive over from our house is beautiful because of the old oak trees. Reservations by phone are important because it's a very small restaurant. How many seats are we talking about?
We seat 50, and we do dinner from 5 o'clock to 8:30.
Yeah, 2 covers.
Yeah, 2 times.
Yeah.
And
so
you can also visit the website, brightsens.com.
Yeah. And we encourage everybody to go. It is a wonderful dining experience.
Yes,
it makes you really know what New Orleans hospitality and great cuisine is about. So, Frank, congratulations. It's always good to see you. I'm sure we'll see you next at the Bocuse d'Or at another event around town. You get around, and I love following you on social media to see where you're dining out as well.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It was a lovely chat.
Absolutely. And again, our best to Marna. We want to thank everybody for joining us on this edition of The Connected Table. Again, we try to at least show one show a month dedicated to New Orleans as we travel. And we're very happy to have spotlighted the amazing career and cuisine of Frank Brigtsen and Brigtsen's Restaurant. So for everybody who is listening and watching, we want you to eat, drink, explore, and be inspired with us. And of course, always stay insatiably curious. Thank you.